All right, brother. Hey, we're going to get into Nate's keys for the day.
All
And
right.
we typically stand at 3 keys. I'm going to push it. I'm going to go 4
All
just
right.
because this week we are talking about a coach's perspective now.
All right. Give us the
And
keys, Captain.
drum roll, we've been going to the coaches. We've hit the players, we had the parents last week, and now we got the coaches. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to dive right in. All right. The number one key I have for coaches when they're dealing with playing time, because this is the series we're talking about, is before everything, communicate expectations
Mm-hmm.
that you have for the team, for the individuals, to your staff, and to the rest of your players. So, like, for example, for a team, we do not tolerate walking from drill to drill. We always help someone when they fall. We're running over there, we're helping them up.
Mm-hmm.
For the individual, we do not whine, or you do not whine, you do not complain, you do not make excuses, you do everything the right way, you do what I tell you to do, and you do it when I tell you to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me into my second one as a coach when dealing with playing time, whether you're playing or not, or having players that play or do not, you're going to have to assess. You're going to have to assess your players. You're going to have to assess, reassess, assess,
Mm-hmm.
reassess, assess, reassess. And that's the constant limbo you're going to be in, because one person might not be playing well at the beginning of the season, and all of a sudden they can start playing well and really start finding value and helping your team during the
Mm-hmm.
middle of the season, and it could go away at the end. I mean, it's crazy. So I think not only am I talking to coaches on this one, but to players as well, because players, you have to understand that every single day matters. Every
Absolutely.
single one. Every single
Absolutely.
one. You show up to practice one day and have a bad practice because you're like, oh, I'm not going to play, whatever. I'm not helping the team. Well, you're probably writing your own grave right there. You're writing
Yeah.
your own tombstone,
Yeah.
because you say that and you're probably going to not play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Your
every single
attitude's
day
already
matters.
telling you your outcome.
Yeah. Say that again. Say that again.
Your attitude is already determining your outcome.
Say it one more time.
Your attitude is predetermining your outcome. I just said it three different ways, but
It
yeah.
was, but it was all the same. And
Mm-hmm.
I think players and coaches really need that. I
Yeah.
mean, we can tell players, and then it like players look at us as well as coaches.
Yeah.
And if our attitude is the right way every single day and we're bringing it,
Mm-hmm.
and we're
Mm-hmm.
consistent, then they can't just be like, oh, well, he's not doing it. They're like, oh, okay, this is the expectations. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So players and what they will need to be able to do within the confines of the team, like, you have to assess that. You
Yeah.
have to assess what this player is able to do in the confines of the team, not just like their individual skill level. How can you help this player? Because obviously we're always trying to help the player, but
Yep.
as a coach, we are in charge of a team,
Mhm.
or we're a part of the team just as much as a player is. So like we have to assess these players in order to help the teams. At the beginning of the year is like when I think it will be like the most you need to like have this assessment,
Mhm.
but that's usually from players in the past, like players that are coming back, coming back, coming back. You're like already have an assessment of them.
Yeah.
But to be honest, you're going to be reassessing them all throughout the season.
Absolutely.
You're going to be assessing them, and you're like through preseason, beginning of practice. I mean, assessment will never stop.
Mhm.
So I think assessment is very key when talking about playing time. And when you're assessing, the biggest question, this is like 2A, the biggest question you're going to have to answer is, who can we trust?
Mhm.
4 words. Who can we trust? And players, you could be less skilled but more trusted by your coach, and there's a very high potential of you getting the nod from the coach. I
Absolutely.
experienced
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That coach has to be able to trust you if you want to be on that floor, really, no matter how talented you are. And sometimes you're right. It may go to the person who's a little less talented, but very trustworthy and has been doing exactly what the coach says day in and day out.
Yeah, and I'm I'm gonna try to humble brag on myself real quick. So maybe
Yeah.
it's just a brag, maybe it's not so humble, but I was not the best player. I've said it once in this podcast, twice, 3 times. I'll say it a million times. I was not the best player. I was not the most skilled, but my coach trusted me because I tried to do the right thing.
Mhm.
I tried to work hard. I tried to do what he said every single time he said it.
Yeah.
He
You
said
listen to
something,
him.
yeah. And so I think that's exactly what you just said. Listening.
Mhm.
That's a huge part of trusting. You have to be able to listen, and then you have to be able to do.
Certainly.
So coaches, like if you can find a way, and honestly, not even find a way, you just need to let your players know, like listening is a huge part of our program.
Right.
If
Right.
you listen, you're going to have and listen and then transfer that and allow it to incorporate into your game.
Yeah.
You're going to have a great opportunity to play during this program.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it also works vice versa. You could be the most skilled, but a coach might not be able to trust you, and they might not play you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
Hey,
you're going to be
that
sitting
happens.
there. Yeah. And you're going to be sitting there like, I'm the best player on this team. Like, I don't understand. Well, here's the deal.
Have you bought in?
Have you bought in? If I'm playing a game, Asa, and I have a less talented person on the team, but I need to execute this play with 3 seconds left in order to win the game.
Yep.
I can't play you if you can't run the play correctly. If you can't understand the play and you can't run the play correctly. Not even in a 3-second scenario. Are you going to take bad shots? Are you not going to take high quality shots? Because this is a team sport. I don't care if you can go out and get 40. I need the team to score more points than the other team.
Yeah.
So I need you to take high quality shots because we have great players all around you.
Yeah. We got to get the best shot for the team.
Exactly. Can you make an extra pass for a better shooter? Like, are you unselfish enough to make a better pass or a pass for a better shooter?
Yeah.
And do you fall asleep on defense? Like, I mean, these are just examples. Like, can the coach trust you? And I think it's very important for coaches to lay that out to players. Like, listen, I think you're very talented. I think you are very skilled, but I need to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for every player. This could be for the least skilled player and the highest skilled player. Like, you're going to have a better opportunity if a coach, like I'm talking to coaches right now, you're going to have if you can tell your players, if I can trust you, you have a better opportunity to play in our system. That's not just going to help these players, and it's not just going to help me as a coach. It's going to help our team be successful. Not just on the court, it's going to help everything else.
Yeah. Kind of. Well, back to what I was saying last week. Giving your coach every reason to trust you and play you and have you out on the floor, and 90% of that is listening, right? I mean, 90% of getting your coach to trust you is listening and doing what he tells you to do. Whether or not you always agree with it, that doesn't really matter. If you want to be on the floor, your coach has to trust you.
100%. And so trusting that, I'm going to lead that into the third key, which is role clarity. Coaches, we have to be able to define roles for players after we've assessed and reassessed and assessed wherever we're at when the season starts coming along, or even a month before the season, or from players coming in, the 3-year players that you have in your senior year, 2-year, 1 year, whatever coming in, you need to define their roles. I think the Lipscomb staff did a great job at defining my role.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And once you have assessed your players and know that what they can or can't do, like I just said, communicate with them. Communicate with your players. And I know how hard it is as a coach because you were in charge of so many different responsibilities. It's easy to get lost without communicating.
Yeah.
And I could have just titled these keys, communicate.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as a player, coach, parent, we need communication.
Communication is at the root of everything. It's the very foundation of all that, of trust, of a good team, all that.
Yeah. And part of communicating and part of role clarity is, we talked about it with players, we talked about it with parents. We are going to have, as coach, tough conversations. It never gets easier the older you get or the wiser you become. You're going to have tough conversations in order for everyone to be on the same page. Yeah. You're going to have to. So like, that's a flash. Like that's one of the biggest parts of this whole keys, tough conversation from players to parents to coaches. You're going to have to leave your ego behind, and I don't want to hurt this person. You're going to have to be honest with them because honesty will stand higher than anything else.
Yeah. No doubt.
So I also think when you have this tough conversations, it's okay to let these players that aren't playing as much know that, okay, listen, you're not playing as much right now.
Yeah.
But we're on role clarity. You have to be able to do this. I need you to do this if you want to be on the court, in order for our team to be the most successful.
Yeah, you still have a role. Notice there's still a role. It might not be the one that you completely desire, but there is still a role that has to get done.
120%.
A role that has to be filled.
Yes, yes. And I think too often, and I'm going to talk to players for a brief second, although we're talking to coaches, is as players, you can get into the mindset of, oh, my role is not as big as I want, or,
Yep.
oh, it's not as meaningful. Every single role on a basketball team is meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just win with 5 guys.
Yeah.
You win with a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't go to the NCAA tournament just because we had 5 guys, 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
We won because of every single person on the coaching staff,
Yep.
every single person on the end of the bench,
Yep.
like trainer, athletic trainer, everything else, Huddy. Like we didn't go there because of just 5 people. Every person in the organization, Philip Hutchison, our
Yep.
AD, everyone made that happen.
Absolutely.
So I think you have to just be able to buy in and accept your role and fulfill it and live in it and enjoy that role.
Make the most of it.
Yes. And so I think this might be the most important for coaches. And I might be stepping on toes. I don't know. But I'm just going to try to put this out there. Is number 4, the 4th key, the fourth key. Create a purpose for guys not playing as much as you are creating a purpose for the guys that are playing.
That's a tough one.
And that could look a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But part of it's having tough conversations, but telling them how important they are, although they are not playing, because it's the truth. It's not a lie. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And that's the extra step you got to go to keep everybody on board as a coach, because those are the ones that you're going to need down the road, as we've alluded to before. But I mean, you got to keep everybody, no matter how high up or how low on the totem pole they are, you got to keep everybody on board. I
agree. So like, I mean, as naturally as you would as a coach, like we think when we're coming to like the point where we have an established team and et cetera, we spend more times, just naturally, we spend more times on the guys that are playing the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's like wrong, because like at the end of the day, a coach loses his job if those guys are not performing.
Yep.
So like 100%, I'm so in on that. I understand. However, not saying it's wrong. I just personally think it can be improved.
Yep.
I think it can be improved, and I think you're going to see that in the culture you build.
It's kind of something that you have to work on too, that coaches need to work on. It's not just going to happen. You have to make an effort to do that and work on it. It's not something that it's definitely not going to come second nature to most people. So you have to practice it and work on it like you would anything else. Yeah.
And once again, we're going off 3 and having tough conversations with the role clarity. Once you have that role clarity, once you have that tough conversation, in that tough conversation, what if a coach put this to you, Asa, when you were not playing as much? I need you to be the O-line for our basketball team. The O-line, the offensive line, the mean and gritty, the dirty and gritty. You know what I mean? Yep. I need you to be the best player on scout team.
Yep.
I need you to be the most positive person in our locker room, the loudest and most vocal leader. I need you, and this is just an off the wall one, but it's just as important as anything else. I might need you to spend some extra time with our best player on his homework, because if he doesn't play, then we don't win. Yeah. And so like when I say, I mean, seriously, when I'm talking about the O-line, you do not win games without the O-line. I mean, I'm talking about Tennessee football right now. They got a mean O-line up there. I mean, they're pushing people around right now.
Y'all do have a good O-line up there.
And doesn't that make everybody look better?
Yeah. Yeah. And everything matters. Everything matters.
And like when you're talking about Alabama or great football teams, they have a great O-line that protects their quarterback, running back, and allows wide receivers to get in the end zone and dance.
Yeah.
You need those players that are not playing as much to be your O-line.
That's great. I totally agree with that.
Like, and then being able to phrase it is like, we need you to do this. We need you to be the O-line. We do not win a championship without you. How does when you tell 18, 19, 16, 15, I don't even care how old a kid, when you tell them that, they might shrug their shoulders a little bit like, okay, you guys need me still.
Yeah.
You guys might need me. And I'm not saying it's the perfect formula, but it's worth a try.
Certainly.
But anyway, Ace, those are my 4 keys for today. We're going to 3 keys, but I added 1 for
That's
today.
all right. They're your keys, man. They're your keys. You got the car. They're your keys.
It's a push to start. So you know how it is. But